starting with Ms. Thomas.
President, you started this war, the war of your choosing, and you can end it alone today. At this point, bring in peacekeepers, UN peacekeepers. 2 million Iraqis have fled their country as refugees. 2 million more are displaced. Thousands and thousands are dead. Don't you understand? We brought the Al-Qaeda into Iraq.
Actually, I was hoping to solve the Iraqi issue diplomatically. That's why I went to the United Nations and worked with the United Nations Security Council, which unanimously passed a resolution that said disclose, disarm, or face serious consequences. That was the message, a clear message to Saddam Hussein. He chose the course. It was his decision to make. Obviously, it was a difficult decision for me to make, to send our brave troops, along with coalition troops, into Iraq. I firmly believe the world is better off without Saddam Hussein in power. Now the fundamental question facing America is, will we stand with this young democracy? Will we help them achieve stability? Will we help them become an ally in this war against extremists and radicals that is not only evident in Iraq, but it's evident in Lebanon, the Palestinian territories, and Afghanistan? We're at the beginning stages of a great ideological conflict between those who yearn for peace and those who want their children to grow up in a normal, decent society, and radicals and extremists who want to impose their dark vision on people throughout the world. Iraq is obviously, Helen, has got the attention of the American people, as it should. This is a difficult war, and it's a tough war. But as I have consistently stated throughout this presidency, it is a necessary war to secure our peace. I find it interesting that as this young democracy has taken hold, radicals and extremists kill innocent people to stop its advance. And that ought to be a clear signal to the American people that these are dangerous people. And their ambition is not just contained to Iraq. Their ambition is to continue to hurt the American people. So my attitude is we ought to defeat them there so we don't have to face them here, and that we ought to defeat their ideology with a more hopeful form of government. Sir.
Mr. President, you're facing a rebellion from key Republican senators who want you to change course and begin reducing the U.S. combat role. Given the mixed report that you present today, how do you persuade Republicans to stick with you as they look ahead to the next elections?
A couple of things. First of all, I respect those Republicans that you're referring to. I presume you're referring to friends of mine like Lugar or Senator Lugar, Domenici. Yeah, these are good, honorable people. I've spoken to them, and I listen very carefully to what they have to say. First of all, they share my concern that a precipitous withdrawal would embolden Al-Qaeda. And they also understand that we can't let Al-Qaeda gain safe haven inside of Iraq. I appreciate, their calls, and I appreciate their desire to work with the White House to be in a position where we can sustain a presence in Iraq. What I tell them is this, just what I've told you, is that as the commander-in-chief of the greatest military ever, I have an obligation, a sincere and serious obligation, to hear out my commander on the ground. And I will take his recommendation, and as I mentioned, to talk to Bob Gates about it, as well as the Joint Chiefs about it, as well as consult with members of the Congress, both Republicans and Democrats, as I make a decision about the way forward in Iraq. And so I value the advice of those senators. I appreciate their concerns about the situation in Iraq, and I'm going to continue listening to them. Toby.
Mr. President, in addition